Can you subscribe to my new channel for support purposes? As they moved together, Henry felt his awareness expand, reaching out beyond the confines of the craft, beyond the limits of his physical body. He could sense the stars, the vastness of the universe, and the infinite possibilities that lay within it. It was as if he and Leora were becoming one with the cosmos, their love and connection a part of the very fabric of existence. Time seemed to lose all meaning as they continued their dance, their connection growing ever deeper. Henry had never imagined that such an experience was possible, that love could be so profound, so all-encompassing. And yet, here he was, sharing it with this extraordinary being who had come into his life and changed it forever. Finally, as the intensity of the moment reached its peak, Henry felt a rush of pure, radiant energy surge through him, filling him with a sense of completeness and peace that he had never known. Leora's presence was with him, around him, within him, and together they reached a state of bliss that transcended all understanding. When it was over, they remained entwined, their breathing slow and steady, their minds still linked in a shared sense of wonder and fulfillment. Henry felt as if he had been reborn, not just physically, but spiritually, his very soul rejuvenated by the experience. Leora gently caressed his cheek, her violet eyes glowing with warmth and affection. "You are truly remarkable, Henry," she whispered. "I have learned so much from you, and there is still so much more for us to explore together." Henry smiled, his heart overflowing with love and gratitude. "Thank you, Leora," he said softly. "I never imagined that life could be like this. You've given me something beyond anything I ever dreamed possible." Leora leaned in, pressing her forehead to his. "And you have given me a glimpse into the beauty of humanity, Henry. Together, we will continue to explore, to learn, and to grow. The universe is vast, and we have only just begun our journey." Henry felt a deep sense of contentment and excitement for what lay ahead. The future was no longer something to be feared, but something to be embraced with open arms. With Leora by his side, he knew that anything was possible, and that the adventures awaiting them would be beyond anything he could have ever imagined. The following days and weeks were a whirlwind of discovery and exploration for Henry and Leora. With his newfound youth and vitality, Henry felt as if the world had opened up to him in ways he had never imagined. The small, quiet life he had known was now a distant memory, replaced by a life of adventure and wonder. Leora guided him through experiences that defied explanation, journeys through the cosmos, encounters with otherworldly beings, and explorations of dimensions beyond the physical. Henry's mind expanded with each new discovery, his understanding of reality deepening with every step they took together. But it wasn't just the grand adventures that captivated Henry. It was the moments of quiet intimacy, the deep conversations they shared about life, love, and the nature of existence. Leora's curiosity about humanity, her desire to understand what it meant to be human, led to profound discussions that challenged everything Henry thought he knew. Their connection grew stronger with each passing day, a bond that transcended the physical and reached into the very depths of their souls. They were partners, lovers, and explorers, united in their quest to uncover the mysteries of the universe. One evening, as they stood together on a distant world, watching the twin suns set over a shimmering sea, Henry turned to Leora, a question burning in his mind. "Leora," he began, his voice thoughtful, "do you ever wonder what it would be like to live as a human? To experience life as we do, with all its limitations and imperfections?" Leora looked at him, her eyes reflecting the golden light of the setting suns. "I have wondered," she admitted, her voice soft, "but I also know that to truly experience life as a human, I would have to give up much of what I am. The connection I have with the universe, the abilities that come with my existence, they would be lost if I were to become human." Henry nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. "But you've experienced so much through me, haven't you? You felt what it's like to be human, at least in part." Leora smiled gently. "Yes, through you I have come to understand so much more about humanity than I ever could have on my own. But there is still much I do not know, much I cannot feel or comprehend." Henry reached out, taking her hand in his. "Perhaps that's why we're so good together. You help me see beyond my human limitations, and I help you understand what it means to be human. Together we make each other more than we are alone." Leora's smile deepened, and she squeezed his hand. "You are wise, Henry. I cherish the connection we share, and I look forward to all the things we will continue to discover together." Henry felt a surge of warmth in his chest, a sense of fulfillment that came from knowing that he and Leora were truly connected on a level that went beyond words. As the suns dipped below the horizon, casting the world in a soft twilight, Henry knew that their journey was just beginning. There were still so many questions to be answered, so many mysteries to unravel. But with Leora by his side, he was ready to face whatever challenges and wonders lay ahead. For the first time in his life, Henry felt truly alive, in a way that transcended the physical, alive in a way that filled him with purpose and joy. He had been given a second chance, a chance to explore the infinite possibilities of existence, and he was determined to make the most of it. As they stood together on that distant shore, hand in hand, Henry knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together. And in that knowledge, he found a peace that he had never known before, a peace that came from knowing that he was exactly where he was meant to be. And so, as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky above, Henry and Leora set off on the next leg of their journey, ready to explore the boundless mysteries of the universe and to discover what it truly meant to be alive. As Henry and Leora continued their journey across the vastness of the cosmos, they encountered wonders and challenges beyond imagination. Each new world, each new dimension they explored, brought them closer together, their bond growing stronger with every experience. Yet, despite the overwhelming beauty and complexity of the universe, Henry found his thoughts increasingly drifting back to Earth, to the world he had left behind. One day, as they hovered above the atmosphere of a gas giant, its swirling clouds of color mesmerizing in their patterns, Henry found himself lost in thought. Leora, who had become attuned to his moods and thoughts, noticed his introspection and gently floated closer to him. "Henry," she said softly, her voice carrying a note of concern, "your thoughts have been distant lately. Is something troubling you?" Henry sighed, his gaze still fixed on the mesmerizing view below. "It's not trouble." "Exactly," he began, struggling to find the right words. "It's just, I've been thinking a lot about Earth, about my old life. As incredible as all of this is, I can't help but wonder what's happening back home. I left everything behind so suddenly. My friends, my work. Even though I felt ready to leave it all, I'm starting to realize that a part of me is still tied to that world." Leora listened intently, her expression thoughtful. "You've experienced so much since you left Earth, Henry. It's only natural that you would feel a connection to your past. But what is it that draws you back? Is it a longing for the life you once knew? Or is it something more?" Henry considered her question carefully. "I think it's both," he admitted. "The routines, the familiar faces, even the small struggles of daily existence. But there's also something deeper, something I can't quite put into words. It's like a voice calling me back, urging me to reconnect with the world I came from." Leora nodded slowly, her violet eyes reflecting the swirling colors of the planet below. "I understand, Henry. Your connection to Earth is strong, and it's a part of who you are. Perhaps it's time to return, even if only for a while, to see what has changed and to find out what this voice is calling you to do." Henry looked at her, gratitude shining in his eyes. "You would come with me?" he asked, knowing the answer but needing to hear it. "Of course," Leora replied with a gentle smile. "Wherever you go, I will go. Your journey is my journey now. Together we will discover what this calling means." With Leora's support, Henry felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had spent so much time exploring the universe and uncovering its mysteries, but now it was time to face the mysteries of his own heart and the world he had left behind. The journey back to Earth was a quiet one, filled with anticipation and reflection. As they drew closer to the blue-green planet that had been Henry's home for so many years, he felt a mix of emotions: excitement, nostalgia, and a touch of fear. What would he find when he returned? How much had changed in his absence? When they finally entered Earth's atmosphere, Henry's heart raced with anticipation. Leora piloted their craft with ease, guiding them toward the small town where Henry had lived before his encounter with her. As they descended, the familiar landscape came into view: rolling hills, dense forests, and the quaint, quiet streets that had been the backdrop to Henry's life for decades. They landed in a secluded area just outside of town, the craft cloaking itself in a field of invisibility to avoid detection. Henry stepped out onto the soft grass, breathing in the cool, crisp air of an autumn evening. The scent of pine trees and earth filled his senses, and he closed his eyes, letting the memories wash over him. "It's strange," Henry said after a moment, turning to Leora. "It feels like both a lifetime ago and just yesterday that I was here." Leora nodded, her presence a calming anchor. "Time has a way of blurring in the vastness of the universe. But now that you're here, perhaps you can find the answers you seek." The familiar chime of the bell above the door brought a flood of memories back, and Henry's heart raced as he approached the counter. Henry Michael's voice was filled with shock and disbelief as he turned to see his old friend standing before him, looking decades younger than when they had last met. Henry smiled, his eyes brimming with emotion. "It's me, Michael," he said, his voice steady but filled with warmth. "It's been a while." Michael stood up, staring at Henry in amazement. "I don't understand. You look. How is this possible? We thought you were dead." Henry finished for him, understanding the unspoken fear. "I suppose that's what it must have looked like. But I'm very much alive, Michael. and I have so much to tell you." The two men embraced, the years of separation melting away in that moment. Leora watched quietly from the background, her presence a gentle reminder of the journey that had brought Henry to this point. As they sat down to talk, Henry began to share his incredible story with Michael. He spoke of Leora, their travels through the cosmos, and the transformation that had given him a new lease on life. Michael listened in stunned silence, his mind struggling to comprehend the extraordinary tale. "But why have you returned, Henry?" Michael asked after a while, his voice tinged with concern. "If you've been given such a gift, why come back to this small town?" Henry looked at his friend, his expression thoughtful. "I came back because I realized that no matter how far I traveled, a part of me would always belong here. This town, these people, they are a part of who I am, and I needed to understand that before I could move forward." Michael nodded, understanding the depth of Henry's words. "And what will you do now?" Henry glanced at Leora, who gave him a reassuring smile. "I'm not sure yet," he admitted, "but I know that I can't just walk away from this place, from the life I had. There's something here that still calls to me, something I need to find." As the evening wore on, Henry and Michael continued to talk, reconnecting after years of separation. Leora, who had remained mostly silent during the conversation, finally spoke up. "There is much that we can learn from each other," she said, addressing Michael. "Henry's journey has only just begun, and I believe that what he seeks may lie here, among the people who know him best." Michael looked at Leora, a mixture of awe and gratitude in his eyes. "You've given Henry a second chance, Leora. For that, I will be forever grateful. Whatever he needs to find will help him, won't we?" Henry felt a surge of gratitude for his old friend. "Thank you, Michael," he said softly. "I don't know what the future holds, but I'm glad to have you by my side as I figure it out." As they prepared to leave the cafe, Henry felt a sense of peace settling over him. He had returned to the place that had shaped him, and now, with Leora and Michael by his side, he was ready to face whatever challenges and revelations lay ahead. Over the next few weeks, Henry and Leora settled into life in the small town. They rented a small cottage on the outskirts, and Henry spent his days reconnecting with old friends and revisiting the places that held memories of his past. He was welcomed back with a mixture of amazement and joy, his youthful appearance causing quite a stir among the townsfolk. But even as Henry reveled in the warmth of these reunions, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. The voice that had called him back to earth, the sense of unfinished business, still lingered in the back of his mind. One evening, as he and Leora sat together on the porch of their cottage, watching the sun set over the hills, Henry finally voiced his concerns. "Leora," he began, his tone pensive, "I've been thinking about why I was called back here. I thought it was just to reconnect with my past, but now I'm not so sure. There's something more, something I haven't figured out yet." Leora turned to him, her gaze gentle and understanding. "Your instincts have guided you well so far, Henry. Perhaps there is indeed something more to discover here. What do you feel when you think about it?" Henry frowned, trying to put his thoughts into words. "It's like a puzzle," he said slowly. "Something that doesn't quite fit, but I can't see the whole picture yet. I've been having dreams, 2 vivid dreams about my old life, about people I knew and things I experienced. But they're different. It's as if they're trying to tell me something, but I don't know what." Leora listened carefully, her mind already working to piece together the clues. "These dreams, do they feel connected to a specific time or place, or to a particular person?" Henry thought back to the dreams, the images that had haunted his sleep. "There's one that keeps coming back," he admitted. "A memory of a woman I once knew, Sarah. We were close, but life took us in different directions. I haven't thought about her in years, but now, it's as if she's calling out to me, asking for something." Leora's eyes narrowed slightly as she considered this. "Perhaps Sarah is the key to understanding why you were called back here. If your dreams are guiding you to her, then there may be something unresolved between you two, something that needs to be addressed before you can truly move forward." Henry nodded, feeling a sense of clarity as Leora spoke. "I think you're right," he said. "Sarah was an important part of my life, and I've always regretted how things ended between us. Maybe that's what this is about, finding closure, or maybe even something more." With Leora's encouragement, Henry decided to seek out Sarah, to confront the memories and emotions that had resurfaced since his return. He didn't know what he would find, or how she would react to seeing him again after so many years, but he knew that this was a step he needed to take. The next day, Henry set out to find Sarah. He knew where she lived. She hadn't moved far from the town, and as he approached her house, his heart pounded with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. Would she remember him? And if she did, how would she react to seeing him so young, so changed? When he reached her front door, Henry took a deep breath and knocked. For a moment there was silence, and then he heard footsteps approaching. The door opened, and there she was, Sarah, still beautiful, though the years had added lines of experience to her face. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, both too stunned to speak. Then, finally, Sarah broke the silence. "Don't forget to subscribe.